not if I'm not a weirdo. Sometimes I can feel by a weirdo, but I'm not. I'm just telling you.
You're
Stephen,
definitely not a weirdo.
thoughts, buddy.
Oh,
You
okay.
sat there. He sat there with this wry grin on his face.
Mm, mm.
Why are
For
you
me,
guys so quiet?
Hi,
Why was so
Michael.
quiet? Stephen's being positive. He's about
hey
to
Mike,
deliver
what's up, buddy?
a pearl of wisdom here.
Hello, Michael.
But while he,
Hello,
that's
everyone.
good evening, Michael.
Hi, Michael.
Good
Hello,
evening,
Michael.
Michael.
This is a great subject. Very deep.
No, right?
Yeah.
This is why we have the lovely Candy in the chair. So, Candy, go away. You go.
I hope I won't fall off the chair and keep
You won't
this
fall off the chair.
running down. Okay, help me with this.
You won't fall off the chair.
No, there's always. I mean, for me, there is always a desire. For me, always, and I have these five simple steps. Not not always to be followed, but keeping in mind that I have always these steps. That's very easy. That's very easy. One is I set my own intentions, not in a bad way, but in a good way. Okay,
Okay.
I set my intentions. Yes, because they will say, "Okay, set your intention. Is that good or bad?" Of course, it's good. You don't have to be in the bad way, so you have to be in a good way. So don't get me wrong there. Go center, not go left or right. No, go straight point. Okay, straight point. And open your heart. This is the very hardest thing to do. Open your heart. It's hard. It's not easy to open up to people when you're in the virtual world, especially in this kind of, tough times. It's not easy. And if you don't know Colin, if you don't know Helga, if you don't know Eric, you just met on online, and you just keep on talking. It's really really hard to open up, especially what's inside your heart or what you're thinking, because you have a lot of perspective. People have different thoughts, different thinking. So you don't know what's going to happen, or you don't know what might they say that you'll get offended. So you have to get ready for this, right?
100%. 100%. I wanted to address the point that Helga made there. She said something along the lines of once we recognize the fact that we are creators.
Oh yeah,
So I
it
want
is.
to sort of try and bring that together
Mm-hmm.
because we are like obviously an intrinsic part of spirit itself, the whole energy field,
Mm-hmm.
spirit, the physical realm, the different levels of vibration there. Hi, Colin, is this a weekly show? Now you have to ask the boss, Candy. Is this going to be? We'll have to find out at the end.
We have to find
I
out
want
after
to add
this.
Michael as a director as well, but I'm not sure where to do it from this because the button disappeared once everybody started filling up. So,
Mm-hmm.
Michael, how do I make you a director as well?
Oh wow.
You have to go into the invite where the little white box is. Then you have to go to all the people that you've invited. Then there'll be another little box that you have to click that says director.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Are you
Man,
thinking
you
it's
have to
going to get
stop. You
wild?
have
Is that what you're?
down.
It's not going to get wild, not on Law of Attraction, I wouldn't have thought, but I'm just
I guess.
covering all the bases because I know you said you might bring some material to the table.
Yeah. We'll
Yeah,
see how this is going.
yeah.
It looks like everybody wants to talk though, buddy. I think you're going to have no problem with material.
Okay,
So let them talk until we have no talk, and then if you run out
Yeah.
of talk, we'll put some material in.
that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Candy.
Michael always brings something on the table. That's why I like Michael.
Oh,
What I love is the vibration of the room already. It's very
Oh.
super chill. So I'm sorry I was a little late. They had some party outside and it was getting really loud. So I didn't think you guys would be too cool with that. So sorry about that.
no, not a
Yeah,
problem.
that's very good. Very good.
Perfect timing.
Yep.
So, yes, Helga, co creation and creation. How do we
Mm.
tie those two together?
Mm.
There's a question.
That is quite hard, and it's a simple word, but it's hard to do. You know.
Mm.
And what
So
the thing is to be created. That's the first thing I've thought. What is the things that going to be created? It's bugging me already.
What are the things that
yeah,
are going to be
I was
created
thinking
are
about adding to that.
go ahead.
Hmm.
Go, Eric.
It's like I really love that Helga said that, because once you realize that you're the creator, you've come to a certain level or a plateau, and so you have to analyze things from that which you have realized. And so if you are the creator, then what does that truly mean? And so I asked a lot of these questions at 4 or 5 years old and started getting the answers or the validations about 5 or 6 years ago. And so, in many ways, it can be many different things. But one thing that you could look at it very easily is back to like your life purpose. What's your life purpose? Everyone's an individual, but we are all the one. So you created this life if you are the creator. So that must mean you had some kind of design for this life. And so in what I've experienced, it's been more of a remembering. And so, you take certain steps or you'll be moved into certain things. Desiree said a few minutes ago there a beautiful comment about, let me scroll up so that I can read it. It's not going to let me scroll up. My computer's
The
going
past
super slow. About the pain and the past and the pain. And so, when you start even looking at past lives, or like you said earlier, Colin, the way we were brought up, or the relationships that we develop or that were underdeveloped. And now as we start to get more mature, we start to realize, what is love? How does love operate? And a lot of these things come up so that we can heal them. Because if you don't heal them or you do not address them, then they are virtually a block. And you can think about something and you can try to manifest it. But if you have a block, maybe that you're trying to manifest is too big to funnel through whatever kind of restriction you have on your energetic manifestational purposes. So I like to feel like it's like Colin and you, Andy, said a minute ago. It's ongoing. It's like an evolutionary process. The law of attraction. You're trying to remember these things, or not even trying. Like Candy said, you're just kind of in the flow. And when you're in the flow, these things kind of come up, and then they present themselves and their energy to you to process. Whether you do or not, then that predicts what's the next thing that's going to come in or not come in. Because if you try to manifest something and it doesn't show up, then that obviously says I must be doing something wrong, or I don't have all the components there to manifest it. Instead of a lot of people just throw it all out the door and say, oh, the law of attraction, that's just a bunch of hung fooey that nobody really knows about.
Exactly. Well said.
There's always going to be the naysayer there. I mean, I think it's a case of trying to tie in as well the fact that, if we're coming down from making that transition from the spiritual realm to the physical plane before.
Uh-oh. We just lost connection just for a second. Did everybody come back?
Yeah. I think you were the only one that disappeared, Michael. You were the only one that disappeared, buddy.
Okay.
You went and came. But welcome back. Welcome back. As I was saying, we come down from the spiritual plane, to my understanding. So we're manifesting this body and we're going through life. So for the first few years in our life, we're experiencing that conditioning, the cultural norms being instilled into us. So the people that can't relate to that part of the equation, they are then trying to manifest from their self-image. Now, the self-image is obviously that concept that we hold of ourselves that's put in there. It's the whole collection of paradigms. So some people are trying to use the law of attraction and manifest from that perspective of the self-image. without
Mhm.
acknowledging the fact that we are spiritual first and foremost. They've got a small degree of understanding where that's concerned, but they
Mhm.
haven't quite got the full picture, which is why, Eric, I intentionally asked you and Helga to come in because you've got that extra side of the equation there.
Mhm.
So how do we...
Colin,
Yes, Michael.
do the average person, like people in general, they
Mhm.
live mostly out of ego. So you talking about the
Mhm.
concept of your spiritual self might be very scary. Now, in this room, it's not.
Mhm.
And this is, a somewhat a woo, very woo-alicious topic to some. But if you
Mhm.
break it down,
Mhm.
and I would love for you to simplify just a little bit, because the average viewer is not going to understand what we're saying.
Okay.
Mhm.
Now,
What
if
I'm trying...
they're
Go
going to
on.
understand synchronicities, and you were talking about that,
Mhm.
Well,
and I think you were talking about shedding of the ego and becoming more spiritually aligned. Is that correct? What you were trying to say there? You put
it's no,
a
but
whole lot of building blocks in about 2 minutes there.
yeah, I
Like
know.
like that was almost like a seminar right there in 2 minutes.
It was, but it was intentional. The fact that we need to try to tie together that conditioned mind, that self-image or ego, as you want to, as we could label it, and our spiritual higher self. I mean, people
Mhm.
can relate. The people in this, which is who we're pitching the majority of this broadcast at, the people that just want a little bit more clarity, the people that can relate to the whole law of attraction per se.
Mhm.
But what we're trying to do is help them recognize the fact that, yes, we're pulling from the self-image or that idea, that concept, that self-concept, let's say, our identity. We're pulling from the identity, or as you rightly said, Michael, the ego. And Eric's bringing to the table and Helga's bringing to the table that we are creators in essence before we have that identity
Can I
created.
go a little weird in
Please
this?
do.
Just a little weird. Okay,
Please
so
do.
a lot of people
Mm.
find their identity through the way they look,
Mhm.
their meat suit, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
What kind of car they drive, their first and
Maybe
last name.
maybe we could say skin suit, because meat suit kind of sounds negative.
That's a little. It's James Arthur Ray all
Well,
over.
it depends what room you're in. Okay, but we'll leave that alone. Yeah, you don't throw me pitches. I'm supposed to be good today.
Yeah.
Leave
I'm
Michael
like,
alone.
Birthday suit?
Well,
You're
leave me
we're just
alone.
talking
That's
about the
not
law of
fair.
attraction. So
Are we gonna-
our words and our energy, they attract all these
You're
things.
just poking my buttons
when
here.
when I hear the word meat suit, it comes to me as like,
It's all good, Michael.
it's not very respectful.
Calm, Michael. It's all good.
we have J.S.
Line up.
Gilbert here. We have J.S. Gilbert in the house.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Do you want to invite him up and I'll bring myself down? How about that?
No, we can fit him in as well.
It's okay here. We're good.
No, I can get out. I'll go.
No, you're great. You're great.
Yes.
I'm an extra. Trust me.
No, you're not.
No, you're not. No, you're not. Come on.
You're not.
No, I have to behave. I've been told. I have
Michael's
to behave.
exercising
You are
self-control
it.
here. I can feel it. Michael, come on, it's all good. Just be yourself, buddy. I said to him, "Be good tonight, Michael."
Colin and I
Yeah, we go back a while to the blood.
we used to have some nice conversations way back when.
Oh, crikey, do we? Yes, awesome. Michael, please come back up. Thank you. Right, crack on, chaps. I'm going to make a cup of PG. The room's yours. The broadcast is yours. I just want a cup of tea. Get on with
All
it.
right. Are we gonna talk about the meat suit that I'm not allowed to talk about, which is
Without discussing these little idiosyncrasies, we're going to have no broadcast. We've got to be ourselves, haven't we? Let's be fair.
yeah. So, but I am trying to address something here. We are not our names.
Mm-hmm.
We are not the packaging we're in. We're infinite beings that come back time and time again. At least that's what Helga's taught me. I'm trying to learn.
Well,
Yeah.
you don't have to come each time back. It's only if you don't get the message.
Right. But that's a whole other 2-hour program.
No,
Hopefully, hopefully we'll do that one.
just that. It's just that. You
Yeah.
don't have to talk 2 hours about this.
Oh my God, you could do law attraction for a week. You could, if you broke this down, you could do this for a week. It's crazy. There's seminars with these that are like 24 hours of nonstop breaking down every element, every word, every.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
Here
Yeah,
we
we're back.
are.
I'm here.
We're back. We're good.
Who's the
back.
Are you
director?
there?
We're good. It's
I
weird
think
how
it's me. I broke the internet. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you did it again.
Oh boy.
well, it would require quite a bit of bandwidth to handle all of us right now. That's probably part of it. Does anybody agree with that, though? We are not the bodies that we're in. We're not the names that we were given. Can we kind of talk about that for a second? Is that okay?
We can. I want to jump in on this one as well.
Good.
Something
Good.
I was speaking to somebody earlier on. You know, I mean, Michael is not Michael, right? Okay. So Candy's not Candy. JS isn't JS.
Yep.
They are that essence being Candy, being JS, being Michael. At any point in time, we can start to make that shift. Are we this body? No, of course we're not. We say, you know, hand, that's my hand, that's my leg. But as I said to Eric the other night, we don't phone work. This is the body. We don't phone work and say the body's not coming in. You know, we have to have a label to identify us both to ourselves and to the outside world. But no, intrinsically, that is not who we are. So on that note, I'm going to make a cup of PG in my new PG cup.
Is that going to be your sponsor? Okay. Does anybody else want to chew on that for a second?
Sure.
That was an interesting way of putting it.
Well, we have a
You know,
tendency.
I mean, you're exactly right. Oh, ahead. You're exactly. Sorry, Steve.
Wow.
Oh God.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you were there.
Eric appears to be frozen.
Oh yeah.
Very, very low. Now he's okay. Okay.
He's a timeless being who's going from different realm of existence back and
I was
forth.
just in the 17th dimension myself.
Yes, I sensed that when you came in, when the whole energy field broke, and we.
I knew that's where you were.
He's
So.
quantum
Well, I'm a rebel rouser.
Beeping.
That's what I do. I shake things up.
It reminds me of Lost when they didn't put the numbers in.
Kelly Bird.
I think the interesting thing about perception, because now we know there's really no such thing as matter. Everything is tightly packed energy, essentially, if you want to ascribe to that. I think when you start realizing that there's a whole hell of a lot more that we don't know and will never know than there is that we do know, it takes us away from that place of ego of feeling as though the sun and all the planets and everything else are revolving around us. And so then, in its most simplest form, why are we here? And not to sound like a jerk, but we're here just to be. We are here to be. And
I totally agree. Everything you're saying, absolutely. Dead on.
If in that state of being, we make choices, we look at things. I tend to think that the aspects of the law of attraction, like attracts like and things of that nature, have a lot to do with understanding serendipity. I also tend to lean a little bit towards some Buddhist practices, although I wouldn't say by any stretch I'm a Buddhist, but when you talk about the packaging that we're in, it's like anything that happens. If it's raining and it's nourishing a farmer's crops, then the farmer says that rain is a great thing. But if a mile down the road the rain is flooding out his neighbor, then the rain is a terrible thing.
Yeah.
And we tend to look at this in that level of simplification as far as it might affect ourselves and our smallest spheres of
Yeah.
influence. And the thing that I find really sad about where we are right now is I remember a time when the greater good was really a major force, and it was something that we all tried to contribute to and tried to be a part of.
And
And
integrity. And integrity was
yeah, and I
more
find
common.
it's an effort these days, and even for people who tend to be aware of these things, I consider myself somewhat aware. It's an effort too. It's an effort to not want to label people or look at them in their packaging and say this is a small white person, this is a tall African American person, or this person looks menacing. This person looks
Yeah.
because realistically, if you could see the molecules and atoms that we're made up of, it's all the friggin' same.
Yeah.
All
It is,
the
but without
same.
those labels,
True.
JS, without those labels, without the definitions, without the, as you say, the labels, we would be a little bit stuffed. It's just like a shortcut, isn't it, really? And a lot of people would say, you know, when they're trying to justify this and they look at the world and say, there has to be a God, right? There has to be a God because look at the way the moon is, the exact distance it is to protect the Earth. Look how the oxygen levels, the nitrogen levels, and everything else is ideally suited for us as human beings. You know, somebody had to be out there. I mean, I'm playing devil's advocate here because I am a believer.
Yeah,
But what I'm
But
what
that's
I'm
another
saying,
show. You
it
could
is
talk
another
about the
subject.
wonder of the moon for 6 years.
It
Oh
is.
yeah.
I know, and like you rightly said a few minutes ago, Michael. I mean, we could go on forever with this, but what I just want to say briefly is that if the moon hadn't been there, if the gravitational force hadn't been there, if the plant life wasn't there to sustain us,
Hmm.
then we would be in a different form. There'd be a different kind of life on Earth
So are we
because
talking about
it
the
would be a
moon as
life.
well? Are we also talking about the moon?
What we're saying here is that everything is miraculously in place, as people would say, to
Everything's
sustain
ideal to
human
look at.
life. And what I'm
Yep.
saying is playing devil's advocate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's if everything
Yeah.
wasn't
That's true.
perfect to sustain human life, then there would still be some form of life on the planet, but it wouldn't necessarily be human.
We would be absolutely screwed without the moon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We would be
True.
done. We would be
It's
done
made
in
of
no
cheese.
time.
Made of
Yeah, the
cheese.
weather would be insane.
The
Man on
size
the moon.
of the moon is actually pretty precise as well.
And
Yeah.
what would we
Well,
sing love songs
the
about
size of the moon.
Yeah. I see
without a
the
moon?
moon.
Wrong, right?
The
It's
moon
wrong.
sees me.
PG tips. That's what we'd sing love songs about for sure.
Great plan. Cup of tea. Right. I'll be back.
Okay. So, Mr. Gilbert, now that I have you here, and I don't know you very well, but I would like to know you better. I'm just curious. He was talking about the synchronicities, and he was talking about how everything aligns in the universe, but there's a lot of things, you know, on this planet that if they aren't exactly right, we're done, and we're already screwing with.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like once those polar caps start melting, we're done.
And some people say that the COVID and other things that are happening
What's the
is a
world?
direct reaction of the Earth because it doesn't like us very much.
Stephen, you're really breaking up. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
It's
Oh,
sorry
you're a
about that.
neighbor,
Yeah.
Stephen. You're in Morgan Hill.
Yeah. No. What's the time? What's the time of that clock? Do you know where it sits at now? The time. They do it every year.
Oh, the doomsday clock? Is that the one?
Scientists, they're like, we're closer to midnight. Yeah.
You may want to go down and come back up, Stephen, because every word's
100 seconds to midnight, the closest it has ever been.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
May I?
or just stay in the room and then we can talk.
Doomsday time.
Yeah,
May
he's
I?
really. You may go.
Yeah.
Helga.
When we are creators,
Hmm.
We
Here, I'll put
created
this in
this,
the
right?
put this in the comments.
Go, Helga.
So the energy that we use to mess all of this up, when we unite, we can solve this problem.
Yeah.
Unite, no competition. Unite from
Mhm.
the heart.
Desiree says we are 7 billion universes, one universe surrounded by thousands of universes.
That's true. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, in a universe that is ever growing and expanding.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
So we don't have a clue. And then,
Nope.
yeah, you can see how these conversations, though, they spawn insanity too, because right, because you start talking about the moon. The next thing you're talking about, oh, look, we have more sightings than we've ever had this year, and you
Mhm.
could be on here a decade.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I think at a certain point,
Right,
it
it comes
comes
back
down
to
to faith and acceptance, both things.
Mm.
Go
Uh,
ahead, Eric. Go ahead, Eric. You wanted to say something.
But it comes back to what the topic is, and that's the law of attraction. So the energy of the moon attracts certain things that allow the tides to lower and rise. And so, who's to say if the polar caps melt that all life can't exist? If you look back at time, we're going through cycles, and the polar caps have melted before and they've frozen back. Um, you know, so what really is the bigger thing is to be aware of what energies are affecting you and how they are affecting you, and if you can learn a lesson from them, improve, or adapt, because life is always changing. That's the one thing we're granted always, is life is changing. And I think everybody said here the law of attraction is not just one thing, it's a constant. So
Yeah. Constant. Mm-hmm.
Mr. Gilbert, do you have your I know you
you
don't
can
have
call
a
me JS is my first name, so
yeah,
that's fine.
you don't have headphones on, which I noticed. Do you have the volume of your unit on loud? Because I can hear kind of back talking a little bit. Someone has theirs slightly loud.
Well, let's see. If I turn my mic off, does it improve?
We can hear you, and we don't hear any background. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Now
that's
I
it.
turn it back on.
Yeah, it's good. Maybe just turn it down slightly. That's all, because we can hear background noise or something. It's pretty intense. Yeah.
Huh, that's interesting because I use the same setup for most things, and I'm actually a trained audio engineer. So
Yeah. It's good now. It's good now. Whatever you did, that helped. So
okay,
thank you. Yeah.
sure. Yeah, I guess I don't usually have it on that loud.
Mm.
Well,
Yeah.
Colin, shall
Yeah.
we talk about Mr. Quimby?
We could go on forever, JS. We really could. Do you miss Blab? I miss
This is
Blab
a
so much, but this is
I do. Yeah, Colin and I used to have conversations like this a few years
oh,
back.
wow, really deep.
I've been a study of Wallace Wattles for many, many, many years,
Yeah, the memes.
and his impact on what's happened over the last 100 years or so. It's really interesting. I like the law of attraction. I don't like the way that it's been bastardized and
Agreed.
turned into the gospel of prosperity.
Totally
Exactly.
agree.
Not like that at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Wattles
not what
was
it's.
great.
Yeah.
Wattles was great because he had the pragmatic approach. He really was. I mean, like you say, we've had endless conversations, but I'm sort of going to move away from that. But yeah, 100%. Michael, it's yours.
Well, it's funny he says that, because that was the main reason Wayne Dyer wanted nothing to do with The Secret, because he felt like they were manipulating information to make it seem like a Ponzi scheme, in the sense, if you do this, this, and this, and you just do a wish board, you're gonna automatically. It never really talked in depth about mastery of your mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think the whole thing of the wish board is about
Much better,
putting
Stephen.
that repetition. Yeah, excellent. Welcome back, Stephen. The whole point of the wish board, I think, was the whole petitioning of the mind. I mean, this is where repetition comes from, repetitioning. So the whole point of the wish board was to put that idea in there again and again, so that we're making that change to the self-image. The self-image being that part of us, which is actually the law of attraction is working on from that perspective. But as JS said, the way it's been manipulated so much that people just turned it into a get-rich-quick scheme. Sign up with me, I'll help you put the ideas in there. I mean, I think it was Thurman Fleet and his concept therapy way back when, putting a new idea in there, using the whole stickman figure there with the top part representing conscious, subconscious, and obviously the body. But yeah,
if you don't have disciplines, let's talk about that. If you don't have disciplines, you can give. I could give someone 77 million, and 5 years later they'll be broke.
Yeah, I mean, it's been said, if there's 5% of the population has got the wealth, 95% of people are poor, and if you shared it out within a small period of time, the people that had the wealth to start with, they'd soon have it back in their pockets, because it's the way they've run their life. It's the way they've run their creature comforts campaign, as I call it. So yeah, 100%. It's about, I think it was Zig Ziglar said, if somebody gives you $1 million, you better become a millionaire pretty quick. Otherwise you're going to lose it.
Oh yeah.
Not the case if you got the £1 million, so you're a millionaire, but the case of you have to be the person that gained the £1 million in the first place. Otherwise you're going to lose it again.
Well,
I think one of the things the vision board can do is it allows you to better focus on being able to see when serendipity occurs in your life.
I love that word.
I think this all, Charlie Munger is one of my heroes. If you don't know who he is, he's the number 2 behind Warren Buffett. 93-year-old billionaire who actually is extremely responsible and says it is a joy to be able to pay lots of money in taxes. And he says you can follow all the get-rich-quick schemes and all these other things, even scientifically proven plans. And if you do not understand where the serendipitous moments are in your life and embrace them and utilize them properly, these plans will fail. And nobody can really teach you how to understand what serendipity is, or how to accept it or embrace it or even search it out.
But
the guy who runs Microsoft, I can't think of his name, Bill Gates.
Yes.
He was always quoting these serendipitous moments. He said the chances of him at the age he was being able to access the computer at that point in time, it was like 1 billion to 1 that would happen. And he said it's about recognizing these serendipitous, as JS said there, these moments. So yeah, 100%.
Yep, agree.
But aren't you really talking about people who are able to align with frequency, really align with the right energy, be in the right mindset day in, day out, and that then attracts the right kind of people around them? That is not easily done.
So we're moving into power versus force territory here?
The immovable object and the unstoppable force. Yeah.
Power versus force, the eye of the needle. I forget the third book. Vibrational stuff is very interesting. When you look at like a Mother Teresa passing away and then shortly seeing all the disturbance in that part of the world, it makes you wonder, how certain people vibrate on these extremely high frequencies.
Dimity, welcome.
Yes.
I'm willing to say I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think anybody will know. My granddad said nobody knows, and them that says they do are liars.
How long do you want the show to go, my friend? Because usually this type of thing, you only like to run about an hour. You're into 1 hour already. This is very much like the business shows.
Yeah, but I'm good with this. I think
okay, you're good.
Group of people. We've got a great group of people in here. Initially, I was going to say an hour, but I mean, Candy's doing a great job of
It's like old times,
yourself.
Colin.
No, all the time. I'm just here, listening to these wonderful words.
I've lost
It's
Candy's
just
audio.
my mind gets blown out.
I hear her though.
Okay.
Stephen, did you want to say something? Because all we can hear is the cars. Do you want me to put you on mute or? Stephen, can you hear us?
I think we lost him for a while then.
Yes, I can hear you now.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
There you go.
Did you want to ask a question or make a statement? Right now, all we can hear is the traffic.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. That's why I had my microphone turned off. Yeah, I'm standing on the train track.
I mean,
No way. Well,
The-
don't get run over.
The irony, no, the irony of this situation is that I live in the Silicon Valley, and my connection is horseshit. Excuse my French. Yeah. So. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
Like,
amazing.
hey, we created it all, but
Yeah.
it sucks over here.
Colin,
It's like, oh
if
my
you
God.
can read some of
So
the
stupid,
comments
but-
here as well. If we could just take 3 minutes and maybe.
I mean, the comments are
Yeah, I'm
getting
gonna turn my
wild.
microphone off
They
so
are
I don't.
really
Yeah, thank you.
broadcast the
So-
background sound.
We can. How
they
far
get-
back are we going to go?
Well,
Helga,
just,
Helga, you take the comments while I just make this cup of tea. I've got to get my priorities right. You know, it's okay to sit in here talking about law of attraction, but a man's got to have his PG. Come on, guys.
I mean, everybody's very, this comment is running down forever. I mean, they're very
Yeah,
attracted to the subject. That's why. So it's very fascinating for me.
Hello,
first off,
OB.
is everybody enjoying the conversation? Do you feel like we're covering
Yeah,
everything you want to talk about in the comments? If
Everything. You could be here for months on end. Months.
Yeah.
Yep. Well
Well,
said.
those that wish to leave, please feel free. But those that want to stay, please hold tight to your chair.
Well, the other option we have too is you could cut it and come back, and then you have 2 shows.
Yep.
Why?
Yeah, so you have to separate it.
Yep.
Why?
I
I
don't
like
know
what
how.
Desiree.
It's entirely up to
I like
Candy.
what Desiree said. She says, "What have
Oh,
you attracted into your life that makes
you
you
have
take
to
a step
go
back and go, wow, at that moment?"
Yeah. That's the one that I'm saying. That's the very first one that I said.
I like that. I will bust.
Mm.
I don't know how she pronounces her name, Dimity, but you will not bust taps if you hop on. So what makes you take a step backwards and say, wow? I'll tell you, for me personally, it usually comes from looking at a situation and drawing a conclusion without having really any information. For example, maybe I see a guy with tattoos all over him wearing a shirt, a sleeveless shirt, and he's carrying around some metaphysical book. And you do that second take, like, what? Or seeing a little kid talking about something that's very complicated and doing it in an extremely mature and wonderful way. Because truthfully, we're not better or worse than anybody else. We can learn from people of all ilks. And when we get into that place of drawing the conclusions about people based on a small action or the way they look or something like that, it says a lot more about us than people. So I think the wow is a double wow. It's a wow at how I could be so wrong in terms of a judgment, and wow, what a cool thing.
Yeah, you have a point there. You have a huge point there.
OB, to answer your question, probably not. This is a pretty interesting thing. I got invited up here a couple of days ago, so this will probably be my broadcast tonight. But thank you for asking.
What do you normally broadcast about, Eric?
I usually let my life dictate that. Kind of like what you're talking about there. Things that come up, the law of attraction, the energies that come in. spirit guiding me, whatever's happening in life, what's coming up, kind of. But my mainstay is usually like dreams, metaphysics, spirituality, energy work, things of that nature. Here pretty soon I'll start adding art in the mix.
Hmm.
So I've got a question for you, Eric, and the rest of the group and the people watching.
Mm-hmm.
So given all of that, what you just mentioned, how difficult is it, would you say, in the year 2021 to try and incorporate metaphysics, spirituality, things of that nature, along with the need to feed yourself, clothe yourself, pay for housing, hold a job, et cetera, and interact with people?
It's a brilliant question. I think it's the $1 million question right now. I think it directly relates to the subject, the law of attraction. So the way I see it right now is a lot of people can see that we're in hard times, but when you speak those words, hard times, then you are attracting that, you are granting that power. So the way I've come to understand it is everything is happening for your highest and greatest and best good. It's not happening to you, it's happening for you. So what people are experiencing now, I feel, is the direct energies that should allow them to look within. And as Gandhi said, be the change that you want to see in the world. So if there's all these things that are happening, then we have to kind of look at ourselves and see what role or how the energies of our life are moving us to bring those changes about, because they're happening for us to do that. I think we've gotten really far away from the metaphysics, the spirituality. So if we're all agreeing that we are spirit, and I'm not saying everybody is agreeing on that, but then we really have to look at our life today, and it's so busy and it's so hectic. Your main question is, how hard is that to incorporate in this life today? So I feel like it's really geared up to challenge us to make a life where these things are an everyday absolute, and you're not geared into a position or a place where you find it difficult to incorporate these aspects into your life.
It's really
Nice.
strange because, as I say, I was off listening in the background there, just to see what I was inspired to say when I came back. And it's really weird because obviously we're not going to convince anybody who's not a law of attraction proponent to move over to law of attraction, to exercise that kind of outlook. Those people that are law of attraction proponents, we're not going to convince them, whatever we say here, to drop the whole law of attraction belief system. But what I wanted to bring to the table was a lot of the ideas that the law of attraction people are putting out there when we try to change our mindset in a bid to improve our lifestyle, like coping with life. Yeah, okay, Timothy, no problem. I'll be back. The ideas that we're putting in there to enable us to cope better with the pitfalls that life offers, the curved balls that we're often thrown. I think a lot of the techniques are still useful for living the everyday life, for improving our standard of living, for improving our coping mechanisms. I'm not sure what anybody else thinks about this.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with that. What you think you become, and what you feel you attract, and that's it. That's the point. Am I right or wrong?
11-11,
Yeah,
Eric.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. And what you
Nice.
imagine is what you create, and that's it. That's all I have to say.
Yeah.
Is Miss Kendall coming up? No, she should be okay.
She said that
Yeah.
she's going to.
She said she'd be right back.
Okay.
I had my mic muted. Okay. I think if you go back to the beginning, the original, the New Thought leaders, and you look at what they were talking about at that time, uh, and you really study that, and you study the, where it's grown, not the people that have come and said
Yeah, the
be
golden.
rich and all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff, but the more pure distillation of it.
The rays of the golden dawn, I think it was. Yeah.
There's so much richness. There's so much richness within what was going on there. This kind of understanding of, there's a lot of. One of the things that's really interesting is we have this mind thought about seeking balance, and the New Thought leaders knew it was probably easier to learn to live with imbalance because the nature of the universe is chaos or imbalance. And to learn to live with imbalance than to try to be in balance. Those kinds of things, which I think have been lost over the years, changed around in the popular books and so on and so forth. And it's kind of a shame because it's really easy to go and just say, "Oh, law of attraction, let's bash it." And people who know me would think I was the first person to do it. Well, that's because their understanding of what the law of attraction isn't really what it is.
Yeah, yeah. As you say, Thurman Fleet with his concept therapy movement and the rays of the golden dawn, they had some great material. They really went in depth, and it was all about not just the mind, but the body, the whole, the nourishment, etc. Expelling all the waste. They really went in depth for it, step by step by step, into minuscule detail. And as you say, it's been bastardized. And
people in the late 19th century, earliest 20th century, they did not have medicine, and yet they managed to defeat cancer, tuberculosis, many of these things. And they did it part with the law of attraction, and then also understanding the power of the human body and other things. But it's really very rich. It's a rich history, and as I say, I'm happy to be up here and defend it to anyone who thinks otherwise.
Bless you. It's good to have you here, JS. Seriously.
Thanks.
It's awesome, though. It's really awesome.
Miss Kendall, do you want to say anything while you're there?
Hi.
Hello, everyone. How are you all?
Hey, Demi. Do you know JS? You know JS?
No.
I don't. Hi.
JS, Demi, JS.
Nice to meet you.
So how do you find trying to deal or personal growth? I don't know what words you want to use, because whatever you say, somebody's just going to throw it back at you.
Yeah.
But so I have a hard time talking about it in general. But whatever law of attraction means to you, how are you able to incorporate it into a 2021 lifestyle?
Well, I think it's just bringing it down to the basics, and I've always learned that if you feel good, then you attract good. So it's all about trying to work towards feeling good, which is our true nature anyway. That's who we are at our core, is love and light and compassion. So really the law of attraction it's really about reconnecting with who you are. And once you do that on your inner world, your outer world will change. So that's where the law of attraction comes in. That's my understanding anyway.
As within, so without.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Well said.
I think it fits perfect with what Jay S said a second ago, not really being in that state, but being okay with whatever. So if the state is uncomfortable, being okay and having joy and happiness in that state, because then you can see the opportunities that are there to be seen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It all comes
Yeah,
back.
You
it's
guys
not.
want to
Both
hear,
Yeah,
comments
about
tied
some
together.
magic? Can
that's
I tell
right.
you
It's
about a
not.
little magic? So the seat that I'm in right now, it reclines. It goes all the way down to the floor so that I can be lying down.
Horizontal.
Okay.
This is because I have a severe spinal problem,
Oh.
and I've been on kind of heavy duty opiate patches for 12 and a half, almost 13 years,
Wow.
and I just got a sense that I shouldn't be on them anymore. So a few months ago, I titrated off, which means I took the patch and cut off an eighth of it, and they're good for like a week, and then I cut off another and cut off another, and
Okay.
I am now 6 weeks without any painkillers at all, with the exception of 2 times when I took a small amount of CBD and THC, 1 to 4, 4 to 1, for some breakthrough pain. And I have not
Wow.
been this productive in many, many years.
That's great. I mean, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
it's
Amazing.
So
Is that mind over matter?
you're talking Bob Marley. You connected with Bob Marley instead of pharmaceutical.
no,
Right.
no, because in 6 weeks I've only done it twice. But
You and Bob are feeling Irene now.
So is that a case of
I'm on a
chemical
similar
shift?
journey, JS. So good to hear that.
Yeah.
Is that
well,
sorry? Is
I
that
wish you all luck in the world. Cognitive behavioral therapy has been a blessing, and guess what? Look at the early days of the New Thought leaders, and where do you think cognitive behavioral therapy
yeah,
came from?
it's the same. It's the same, JS. I mean, you look at any kind of therapy, it's about changing the outlook, changing the perspective, whether it's NLP, CBT. I mean, we can list all the different variations on that theme. I'm just curious whether it's a chemical shift that you've made in withdrawing from the dose, or was it a conscious effort that you made that I'm going to do this whatever happens, and sort of desensitize yourself to the pain?
Yeah, well, what happened was it was a feeling that I could control the pain better if it were prevalent than the being a zombie that the drugs were doing to me.
The reason I mention this, but it is because I've seen it where people have been helped to create like a mental dial in their mind, and been able to
Hi, Joy.
to turn that pain level down. Good evening, Joy.
Hi, Joy.
And turn the pain level down in their mind and turn it up again. So that you're getting used to being able to shift that pain level in your mind just by associating some kind of created button or dial in your mind.
I'm kind of doing it the opposite way. It's like Spinal Tap. I have my amps go up to 11. So instead of dialing down the pain, I'm trying to dial up the joy, the just being. It's an interesting sort of a thing. I actually wrote a paper. I haven't published it yet, but it's about the whole concept of happiness. We pretty much as a world now, with a few exceptions here and there, different countries or different people, tend to believe that in order to be happy, we have to have something occur. Our state is either we're unhappy or we're okay, and then something happens. Oh, we get a present, or somebody kisses us, or whatever. And then I thought to myself, what would it be like if we truly had support systems and everything in place where when a child was born, they were taught that the default state of being was elation or just happiness. The default state is happiness. You do not have anything has to happen in order for you to be happy. And take that a step further and say, and what if that happiness didn't have to get shut off just because something we might call bad occurred.
Wow, this really is like
Yeah.
the old
Wow.
days. Yeah, love it, love it.
Yeah, it's but on the same token, I'm kind of one of those people that's in a place where I say I am personally not attracted to books that say learn how to love yourself. I like books that say learn how not to hate yourself, learn how to like yourself a little bit more, that kind of thing.
Increments,
Because I think
increments.
that's
Yeah, increments.
it's just
I think we better let Joy have a few words as well because Joy's come up. Joy, what's your feelings on
Sorry.
this?
No, I
Hey,
just
Joy.
popped in to hey,
Hello,
hey
Joy.
everybody.
We love you,
Hi,
Joy.
sweetie.
We do.
Oh, I love you
Hello,
guys.
Joy.
Hey, Eric. No, I just kind of popped in and just was listening to everyone, and um, it's like when he was talking about just having at birth, imprinting into someone that because for me, my philosophy is you can joy is out. I can't even talk tonight. Sorry. External. Joy is internal. So,
Too much
things
energy in
can.
the room. Just breathe. It's okay, Joy. Too much joy in the room, Joy. You'll be
Yeah.
all fine. Just breathe through your nose. Exhale. It's called Eric. Okay.
Things can make you happy, but joy comes from within. So, that's just my opinion on it. But
That's great.
you have to choose. You have to choose joy, and regarding whatever happens, because there's things in that may happen to you that's out of your control, but you have the control on how you react to them.
Yeah,
So,
it takes time. I
and
mean, yeah, go
it
ahead.
does.
Go ahead.
It does. You know, and sometimes it's like forgiveness is a process. It's not just, oh, forgive and forget. Well, we're human, and I don't know anybody can just turn them, and forget. But
That's just, that's the story for another day. Right. Okay. I'm going to bring it to the table. Okay. Right. We already said earlier on, Joy. I mean, you've
oh,
raised
okay,
a
sorry.
great topic there about, you can't necessarily forget. Where am I? Let me just jump back in here. You can't necessarily forget, but because essentially when we pull a memory out and we put it back in, if you can accept that for a second, every time you pull a memory out
Mhm.
and it goes back into storage, 9 times out of 10, there's some kind of incremental shift in that memory, right? Now, if you take a memory out and you mess about with its attributes, you can actually corrupt a memory to the point where you don't experience the same emotional impact to that memory.
Right.
I mean, I work with a lady. I mean, I'm not going to go, she's no longer with us. So, I mean, I can bring this to the table. But I work with a lady that was, let's say, sexually abused by a father.
Mhm.
And I managed to get to the point where instead of cutting herself on a regular basis or taking tablets, we got her to the point where she'd look at that memory and say, is that the best you got? You know what I mean? You change the
Right.
association to it and you
Right.
can make some dramatic shifts just by manipulating the memory. It's like bribery and corruption. I like to describe it as when we're working with mindset here. We're bribery. We're looking for those positive things. We're looking for those rewards. We're rewarding the mind, rewarding the brain to accept the new idea through petitioning in it. As I said before, repetitioning. We're petitioning the brain to accept the new idea, the new prevalent thought. And once we attach that new idea to the old memory, it's not a case of forgetting. It's a case of being able to take mastery over that memory.
Right.
Yep. Yep. So true. I've been there.
We should
Oh
restart and
yeah.
make part 2. Is everybody happy for me to restart and we'll do a second broadcast? Is everybody happy to continue?
The problem
Yeah.
is the quality will not sustain itself with this many people. It'll start getting worse and worse. I just know
I
from
will drop.
doing it myself. So if we to have a little intermission for 5 minutes, come back, everybody can come
Yep.
in,
Mhm.
be fresh, and maybe put some deodorant on, do a quick shower, and you guys will be ready.
Yep.
I'm,
See you in
Are you
5.
coming back,
I'm
JS?
going to say good evening or good afternoon or good morning,
Okay.
depending on where you are. And what a pleasure and a treat it was to spend some time with you. And I will look out for your rooms again here, certainly, and look forward to the next time I can join you.
Excellent.
Well,
Thank you very much, JS.
Mr. Gilbert, I really enjoyed your mindset and the way you expressed
Yeah.
yourself today.
Yeah,
Thank you.
well,
He's
JS knows
you
his
caught me on a good day.
JS knows his stuff.
Tomorrow
Right.
morning, I could just be sitting around and cursing at the laptop when it doesn't boot up. So.
Michael, you should invite him onto your show sometime.
I'll
I think
send
it'd
it.
be a great idea.
I think we've already opened the gateways of crazy. It's good.
Oh yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Right.
Then-
I'm going to close down and
Take
read
care.
in 5 minutes. Thank you very much, everybody.
Okay.
Take care.
Thanks.
See you
Take
soon.
care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.